You guys, if I were to ask all of you watching this video who you think is one of, if not the best young and up-and-coming teams out of anyone in the NBA right now, I'm willing to bet that a fair amount of you would answer this with none other than the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because if it wasn't already enough having two first-time All-Stars alongside the runner-up for the 2022 Rookie of the Year headlining this team, as I would hope most of you know by now, they also went out and added one of the better young offensive players in the game today to the mix in Donovan Mitchell. And regardless of what your interpretation on Donovan Mitchell is, and even what your preseason expectations might have been for this Cleveland Cavaliers team, and trust me, I have seen predictions myself quite literally all over the board for them, there's something about this team that they've already managed to show us just a few weeks into this NBA season that not many people were probably expecting to see at least this early. One sec though guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to like the video if you do enjoy, subscribe, and turn on those notifications to never miss another NBA video. Love you guys. And for all you regulars out there, you might as well, because around 95% of you guys that are actually coming back to watch the content haven't even subscribed yet. You guys know though, regardless, I appreciate all of you. But anyway, to get back on topic with the Cleveland Cavaliers, for a team like this coming off of a play-in appearance last year, which also, if we're being honest, if their season wasn't derailed by some pretty major injuries, they very likely would have finished as a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. It should look like nothing but a positive and improvement to your all-around team when being able to add a guy like Donovan Mitchell. But, as I'm sure we all know by now, no matter what move a team might make, there will always be the critics that try to look at it from the other side. And some of the responses we saw, not just when the Cavs acquired Donovan Mitchell, but some that we've really seen over the course of his entire career, were simply along the lines of him being an inefficient shot chucker, his defense being below par and having an impact on the backcourt of this team. There's definitely a few more, these two just really summarize it, but regardless of anything and everything people thought about this acquisition, very easily what I was most curious about, and I'm sure a lot of other people can agree with me, is how their offense was actually going to operate. Because, and I mean the stats will clearly show this, Donovan Mitchell has been the centerpiece of every offense he's been involved in over the course of his entire NBA career thus far. And sure, hindsight's 2020 in the sense that it should never be a bad thing when you're adding offensive firepower like this to an already solid rotation, but people were also curious if this was, so to say, going to throw a wrench into some of the production of their young guys like Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, maybe even some of their role players, etc. And I think it's pretty safe to say through the first couple games of the season that there is absolutely nothing wrong with the offensive production that we are seeing from this Cleveland Cavaliers team. And as we are used to with him at this point, Donovan Mitchell has been doing Donovan Mitchell things, and in fact some of the numbers he's been putting up in some of his first games as a Cav are pretty ridiculous. And the numbers that you're seeing only play into one of the biggest reasons the Cavs actually pulled the trigger on this, in the sense of adding a legitimate and proven scoring threat to this young roster. But again, to touch back on the people that say he's taking away opportunities from some of these young guys, on the contrary, he's actually creating more opportunities for his teammates than we have ever seen him do in his entire career. And what exactly do I mean by this? Well, currently, Donovan Mitchell is averaging a very impressive 7.3 assists per game this season, and Donovan Mitchell has clearly improved his playmaking with every year he's been in the league thus far, but we are not used to the jump that he's taken so far this year. And also, I do know that these numbers are probably just slightly inflated due to the fact that Darius Garland has been absent for relatively the entire season with his eye injury, but even though Mitchell's numbers will likely somewhat drop in the near future, it does not disregard from the fact that Donovan Mitchell adds to an area of this Cleveland Cavaliers team that I will say was not focused on nearly as much as it should have been when this trade actually happened, and that, to be simply put, is the ability for the Cavs to always have a high level, I should even say all-star level, scorer and playmaker on the court for them in any game at any point. Because I mean, sure, it should be clear as day at this point that neither one of these guys will be coming off the bench, and they will be sharing the backcourt together in the starting five. And even though, unfortunately, we haven't been able to see it yet, it's been made very clear by the Cavs coaching staff that at almost every point in the game, they either want Darius Garland or Donovan Mitchell out there operating the offense. And I know it probably doesn't sound like anything crazy when just talking about it, but believe me, this is a blessing for the production of this overall team. Because Cavs fans, I think you can definitely testify to this, but when Darius Garland wasn't on the court last year, you guys looked like a completely different team, and it wasn't necessarily in the good way. And you guys did look pretty good when you had Ricky Rubio operating your second unit, but of course that didn't last long, again due to derailing injuries, so it got to the point that whenever Garland needed rest, it wasn't looking as pretty as it probably should have. But now, with the idea of having one of these two guys on the court operating your offense at all times, and also not to mention getting Ricky Rubio back as a third facilitator at some point this season as well, I think I can confidently say that with the acquisition of Donovan Mitchell, we will also in turn be seeing a much more felt impact from the Cavs bench compared to last season. Because guys, this Cavs bench, even with the pieces they had to give up to acquire Donovan Mitchell, is much better than I think you anticipate. Because I mean, to start thinking of guys off the top of your head, you got Kevin Love obviously, Youngin, Isaac Okoro, newly acquired Robin Lopez, and Dean Wade as well, who you could all say are putting up solid numbers so far this season in their own respective right. But who surprised me the most out of anyone on this Cavs bench so far this season is undoubtedly this guy. Yes, you guessed it, NBA legend Cedi Osman. Because yeah, you see this guy up here that's tied for the second most points per game so far this season? Yeah, that's Cedi Osman putting up almost 16 points per game. And also not to mention shooting about 48% from 3 on around 5 attempts per game. Now, are these numbers sustainable from Cedi Osman? I mean, I guess we'll find out. But me making this point is more so just trying to testify to the fact that while some of the pieces on this Cavs bench and in this rotation in general might not pop out and scare you, they undoubtedly need to be taken more seriously than I know some people around the league are probably giving them credit for. And again, with a second unit constructed like this, the Cavaliers at almost any point in any game will be able to have a true ball handler to facilitate the offense, effective shooters surrounding them to fall back on, and mid to elite level defenders present almost always. And I know, even though we haven't touched on defense very much in this video, and adding Donovan Mitchell to the mix of this team will be very interesting, with arguably the best defending frontcourt duo the league has to offer right now, and on top of that, the absurd defensive rating the Cavaliers have put up so far this season. In a day and age where defense is always going to be underappreciated, I don't think there's going to be many issues on this side of the ball with the Cavs this season. And trust me, I know that backcourt defense is a question for this team right now, but we'll just see how that progresses throughout the year. All in all though, with everything considered, yes, this team is clearly still very young, but in terms of success, which I think this team is more than capable of achieving, I mean, the blueprint's been laid out for them, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. However though guys, with everything that we've mentioned so far regarding the Cleveland Cavaliers, I am also extremely curious to hear what you all have to think about their situation. So please let me know in the comments, how much of the offensive load do you think that Donovan Mitchell is going to account for when the season is all said and done? And also, out of everyone on the Cavs, who do you expect to take the biggest leap in terms of individual performance this year? But again, you guys, if you haven't yet, don't forget to go down below and leave a like on the video if you did enjoy, and of course, subscribe while you're down there. As mentioned, we're just going to continue to come out with brand new NBA content every single week as we go along in the new season, so just trust me, you do not want to miss out. But also, I just wanted to say thank you so much to each and every one of you out there for watching. I appreciate you all more than anything, you all know this, and I will see you guys in the next video.